Welcome, everyone, to the only Maulers show in the entire world dedicated to our Pittsburgh Maulers, the 0-2 Maulers. So we're going to start right there. Week 2 was very tough for the Maulers as they lost 20-3, and they were kind of handled by the Generals, especially in that fourth quarter. They played tight. Offense still can't generate offense. It's 2 games without an offensive touchdown. You're never going to win. Uh, it's Horton said it after the game, Coach Horton, that if you score 30 points, he said 3 points a game for 10 games is 30 points, and he didn't go to MIT, and he knows you're not going to get any wins that way. So the offense has to figure something out. General's a tough team, obviously, one of those traditional. I know it's only been 2 years, but it's 1-1. They're 1-1, and they're traditionally a team that gets better as the season goes on. Mike Riley's got a great program over there, so it's a tough battle, and the tough battle continues this week. So, big 3 stats of the game for our Maulers. Definitely the turnovers. As you see, we had 2 fumbles lost and 1 interception. We got a fumble back, but anytime you're -2 in the turnover game against a good team like that, you're never going to win. Fourth quarter, to the right, the breakdown of the drives. They get a touchdown, we get a fumble. They get a touchdown, we get interception. They punt, we fumble, end a game. Anytime your fourth quarter looks like that, you're not going to win. As you can see, their fourth quarter touchdown, that first one, made it 13-3. So it was a 6-3 games at that point. Maulers were in it. The defense were holding tight. Offense still couldn't generate. It's tough. It's tough to win, and the defense gets worn out for the second straight week, being left in bad situations. The other stat of the game is the quarterback stats: 19 of 30, 124 yards, and an interception. Now, Troy Williams had a better game. He was 11 for 16 for 70 yards. It's got to be figured out. It's as simple as that. This team needs to figure out this quarterback position and maybe settle in on one for a game. I know one has not stood out in front of the other, so maybe you can't do that. And maybe this is the system that they have to figure out. But it's got to get better. And week two did get better. So we're seeing some progress. I know you look at those stats and you go, where to get better? Look at week 1 stats. Hammer time player of the game was Tizino. He had 15 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, 1 forced fumble. The guy was everywhere. He was a star. He was great last year. Now you add Foster with him and the linebackers, and this guy leads the league in tackles after 2 weeks. 22 tackles. He's just a machine. He's everywhere. Very underrated last year. The linebackers were tough to stand out, but he definitely deserves some recognition, as he is so important in the middle of that defense. But he was behind the line of scrimmage against a team that loves to run the ball. He was everywhere. So hats off to Zeno, definitely. Flames passing offense was 2 out of 10. I believe last week I gave 2 out of 10. I know it's week 2. I know that makes it sound like it's super early, but we're 2/10 out of the way. We're 20% done with the season. You're 2-0. Thankfully, the division is still, they're 1-1 in front of you, which includes our opponent this week. Rushing offense, still can't get that going. Offensive line needs some help here. We've got some big news. This week for a signing for the offensive line. We'll get to that. Defense, 7 out of 10. I'll give it to them again. 3/4 of the game, they were dominant. They controlled New Jersey. Special teams, 3 out of 10. Outside of Matt Mangle and some punt returns, Josh Simmons looked all right, returning some kicks. This team, the special teams are struggling. Hurley High, Loving Good. They've got to figure it out. So week 3, we're on to week 3. We're done talking about the 0-2 start. Week 3, 1 p.m. Sunday on NBC. rebound, and progress for the offense. And as you see, Captain Cookus. Who to prep for? Obviously, Case Cookus is dynamic. He might be the best quarterback in the league. But there's opportunity here. Even though you're facing off against the best quarterback in the league, you have to put pressure on Cookus, and I think they can. I think one of the biggest things with the Stars is the offensive line is not the greatest. Cookus takes hits, and I think the defensive line needs to get there with 4, and so the secondary can be protected. And if they can do that, there's no reason why the Maulers can't stay in this game. Hopefully, you get an early touchdown, but we'll go into that in a second. Devin Gray is another guy on the offensive side. He's Case's security blanket. He definitely 15 catches in 2 games. He had 7 the first week, 8 the second week, 8 against the Panthers, 7 against the Showboats. So decent defenses. He's his security blanket. He was a security blanket all of last year. Really underrated. I know everyone talks about Roland and talks about Corey Coleman. Devin Gray is the guy. One of my personal favorite non-Mauler players in the league. Really dynamic weapon for the Stars. Then you got Armani Dennis. He had 2 interceptions last week. Him and Stribling create a lot of turnovers, and they will take advantage of any bad passes. But they do give up yards. I will say that. They give up yards. So can the offense get going a little bit? Can they, to steal a line from the Stars, start cooking and move the ball and get some confidence? And maybe the Stars are that team that you really, really, really wanted to see, because the offensive line, the Maulers' defensive line is better than their offensive line. The corners like to give up yards. What do the Maulers need to do? Start getting yards on offense through the passing game, especially. I just feel, I'm sorry, doing this in the morning. I forgot that my alarm clocks. I just feel that Armani Dennis is, and the secondary, you can get some yards. You can move the ball down the field, and I just feel that this could be a game that you can kickstart. Does it turn out to be, the defense still needs to hold them to 21 points, right? The defense for the Maulers to win. The defense still needs to be really, really good, unless the offense just wakes up one day and just starts throwing the ball and starts dominating on the passing game. But this is the best team probably to see after 2 weeks, because they do give up yards, as we know. Hammer time finder of the week. I'm going to start with my right. Olive, the defensive line. The defensive line needs to get there, hit Cookus. They need to put pressure on Cookus. They need to get there with the 4 or the 3, or they don't. You can't blitz them, because every guy is an offensive weapon on the Stars receiving group. Olive, Boogie, Beckner, everyone that's active on the defensive line. Vaughn Taylor needs to be able to get to the quarterback, and it needs to be without blitzing. So if they can do that, they've got a chance. Dwayne Gary, I know I've put him on here for, I believe, 3 weeks now. I really think he needs the ball in the open field, and maybe this is the team to go against to kickstart a Dwayne Gary weapon. Drop the ball off to him in a screen pass, or swing it out right or left, and let him take it 10, 15 yards down the field. Mark Gilbert has a chore this week, and so does all of the Mauler defensive backs. Every guy can catch the ball. Not to knock any of the other teams that the Maulers have played, but I really believe that this team is probably the deepest when it comes to receivers in the entire league. You got Roland, you got Gray, you got Coleman, you've got Colburn coming out of the backfield, Dexter Williams, you've got the tight end, Wells. Like this team is very dynamic when it comes to weapons. So the secondary and the linebacking core has to be successful, along with the defensive line, for this team to have a chance this week. The breaking news, obviously, was that the Maulers last night, Tuesday night, claimed Terry Poole off of the New Jersey General waivers. Huge news, because if you look at any of the units, I know we talk about the passing game. Well, the offensive line's not helping out the passing game. We talk about the running game. Well, the offensive line's not helping the running game. Now you bring in an all USFL guy he's not moving, right? He was already in Cannes. You bring him. I don't understand why the Generals let him go. Could be interesting to find that story out. But you bring him in to a locker room. He's won games. You know, they went 9-1 last year, lost in the playoffs. An experienced guy who's been in the NFL. This could be a great pickup. So now you've got 3 offensive tackles, and there's got to be a corresponding move, and we might see it in the next day or two. I'm filming this on Wednesday morning. But you bring in a guy like Terry Poole to give some experience, some winning experience, some all USFL. You know what I mean? Like, there's only 2 tackles that have ever been selected to all USFL in this iteration of the USFL, and Terry Poole is one of them. Their running game last year was awesome. Him, McGinn, the rest of the guys' names are slipping my mind. You know, they're offensive linemen, with all due respect for a team that I don't follow. But they were able to produce a powerful running game. And if Terry Poole could bring that to the Maulers locker room, hey man, I'm all in. I'm not to steal a line from the Gamblers, but like, sign me up, put me down, whatever you want to do. That is absolutely a dynamic pickup. So I'm interested to see the corresponding move. Maybe someone's hurt, that they move to the injured reserve. He's on the inactive list. He was picked up, claimed off waivers. So there's got to be a corresponding move, and he probably has to clear waivers. So there's nothing there yet. All right. So new episodes every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Dinner with Webb, as I've always told you. Grab something to eat. Enjoy the show. But go Maulers. And my pick for the week is the Maulers win 24-23. I'm riding with our Maulers. I love this team. I've told you guys before. I've got to ride with them. But this is the pulse check episode. But either they're going to roll over or they're going to fight. And hopefully we see a lot of fight when they play the Philadelphia Stars in Detroit, which should be a quiet stadium at that point. It's not against the Panthers. So hammer down, hammer up, hammer out, Web out.